Share. Adam, how are you doing? How was the weekend?
Doing good. Yesterday went well. Nice day of baseball. Went out, had some drinks, had a good day. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. Not great for DFS, but I saw you did a little bit of work. So we got something to talk about on lineup study. Um, really click on any of the 150 tournaments from last night, or I guess yesterday's main slate, and you were up near the top. Now I wasn't really paying attention. Did you have a chance to take down the 30K?
Yeah, I didn't go back and double check it, but I'm pretty sure if Amir Garrett didn't blow the save, I would have won. But
Oh,
because I'm pretty sure the team in first had like Tucker Barnhart, and then the team in second I would have passed if I had the Sonny Gray win. But can't complain because the Mets bullpen blew it for Thor last week when I won the tournament. So
oh, there you go. It always balances out. So you were on. Okay, the Mets had I think like 13 runs.
yeah.
Um, so you were on them. It looks like pretty heavy. A bunch of your teams at the top had Mets. Were you expecting to be on them? Because they look to be pretty low owned. I'm seeing none of their players really over 6 or 7% right here.
Yeah, actually, when I initially sorted my lineups, I had even more, and I was just like, I don't need this much Mets. I don't know why I have this much, so I cut it back. Um, kind of upset about that, but I think it made sense because we had Musgrove projected for pretty decent ownership since he was so cheap on DraftKings, and he's just kind of like an average pitcher. So with him projected for a ton of ownership and none going to the Mets, they also had a pretty cheap lineup because
Mhm.
Pete Alonso wasn't in there and Ramos wasn't in there. I guess he's cheap anyway, but it made it pretty easy to get to them.
Yeah. Looks like. All right. So Smiley was your highest exposed pitcher here in the $8, which you won. That was 5K to first. Did you put the same? Did you take your 110 from that tournament out of your 150, or was that 110 new lineups?
I think I was trying to remember what I did. I think I played 110 in that from my original 150, and then in like the second $10, which was 10K to first, I ran an entire new set of lineups.
All right. Let's see if I can find this one. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Um, Man, so you were just, I mean, you were just going to be on it no matter what. 123 lineups in this one. You finished sixth, but you lost $310 in this tournament. Was this one, it must have been really top heavy, actually, looking at only 4,000 entries, 10K to first. But
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was like a 35K pool with 10K to first. I think.
yeah, yeah. So good stuff, man. I'm seeing it was a kind of a shark infested leaderboard all over the place. Um, let's see, the $68. Who won the 100K? Was it Ricky D? I think it was. Anyways, lineup studies moving slow for me right now, but um,
I know Alex took, I think, first and second in the Colossus on FanDuel.
did he really?
I
All
think
right,
so.
let's see here.
If he didn't, he was there until very close to the end.
So you're telling me you won another 100K?
Yeah, just another weekend.
Yeah, just okay. So I didn't even notice that. I rarely look at FanDuel because we don't have lineup study set up. Yep. First and second, 100K to first, and then if that wasn't good enough, took down the 20K second place. His first place lineup cleared everyone else, including his second place lineup, by 8.3 points. Um, wow, so much for not having a great year on FanDuel,
Yeah,
right? But
what a tournament too. 200K prize pool, 100K to first, and then Alex just takes 100 and what like
yeah, he just
120K
takes
out of that 200.
60+% of the pool
Yeah.
right there. Wow, that's got to be frustrating if you played in that tournament and your name is not Osmo, but uh, Alex doing some more Alex things. Adam, you had a good day as well, so hopefully we can keep that up here. I'm trying to get you guys to rub off on me a little bit because I've been on a bit of a cold streak, but we've got 12 games today. Real quick, you guys want to get over to Yahoo and enter in this management fee free tournament. Right now, it's looking like about 200 entries remaining. $4,500 prize pool, $500 to first. No rake. It's as good of a tournament as you can find, and a lot of our subscribers are now moving over to Yahoo as they've gotten frustrated with some of the bigger sites and it seems to be working out well for them. You can get up to 10 lineups, so it's kind of a good middle ground between playing a single lineup and then playing 150 or even a 20 max. So you're not going to be dealing with a lot of sharks over there. They can't do CSV edit, so it's a little bit more difficult to get lineups in, but if you are building them by hand, it's not really going to change anything. So would suggest getting over there. They also got a $15 tournament, $1,500 to first, under 1,000 people in there. So smaller tournaments, but much better chance to be making money. All right, let's go into these games. 12 games. There is I think Miami is doing a doubleheader today, if I remember correctly. So there's a showdown game, Miami and the Mets. DeGrom's pitching, kind of bummed that he's not on the main slate here against the Marlins. But we don't need to talk about that game. If you're playing showdown, go into the premium Slack, and I'm sure you can find a couple people to talk about that game with you. All right, let's go to Brewers and Pirates. We've got Jordan Lyles going up against Dario Agrizal. Lyles 7,200 on DK, Agrizal 6,200. I was looking in to see if is it Agrizal or Agrazal? I don't know what his name is, but anyways, he's got like a 13% K rate on the season, so I don't think he's going to be someone that I'm getting to. But do you see any pitching you're interested in here, Adam, on either side?
No, and I mean, Agrizal at AAA this year, I think had about a 20% strikeout percentage. So it's not like he's a high K guy, low walk guy, got outs at AAA, unlikely to really be that good in the majors. Not really interested in him. Milwaukee obviously has a pretty dangerous lineup. On the other side with Jordan Lyles facing his former team, really good against righties, not as good against lefties. Pretty lefty heavy lineup for Pittsburgh with Frazier, Reynolds, Bell, Cabrera, who never strikes out, Moran, all probably in the lineup. So especially with Lyles' price tag jumping from, I think it was 6,100 last start to 7,200 today, I don't really see getting much pitching here.
Yeah, I don't think so. What about hitting here? We've got a 5.5 implied total here for the Brewers against a pitcher who can't really miss bats. Is that a team you think you're going to get to? It looks like some of these guys are priced pretty well. Grandal, stock is both 4,200. Kane, if he's leading off, he's under 4K there. And then you've still got dirt cheap Travis Shaw and a pretty cheap Eric Thames as well.
Yeah, I think the pricing is really appealing on the Brewers. It's obviously a park downgrade going into PNC instead of hitting at Miller Park. But like you said, Grandal's really cheap, and he's one of the best hitting catchers in baseball. Moustakas is cheap on DraftKings. He has multi-position eligibility as well. Travis Shaw is essentially free, and his numbers at AAA seem like he probably figured something out. His plate discipline numbers were more in line with where you would expect them to be as opposed to what he was doing earlier this season. So I think it's just a really easy team to get to.
Nice. I like it. And then any bats on the Pirates you want to point out here against Lyles?
Josh Bell is in a slump, so his price tag has dropped from, for most of the season, he's been 5,700. He's dropped to 4,600. Whenever a guy goes into a slump and his price tag drops and he has the kind of potential that Bell has, he becomes pretty appealing. But outside of that, I don't really see a whole lot on Pittsburgh.
All right, let's go to the Yankees and the Orioles. Actually, by the way, I don't see a ton of weather issues. I'm seeing a few games with a chance of precipitation across the board, but no major concerns. We'll update you on Lab Before Lock and the deeper dive later tonight if there looks to be anything concerning there. So Yankees, Orioles, we've got a 6.5 implied total here for the Yankees, 4.1 for the O's. Tanaka and Inoue on the mound here. Tanaka at under 9K. This would probably be a matchup earlier in the season or last season, a price we would jump on for under 9K against the Orioles as a minus 241 road favorite. But Tanaka's been pretty bad. Has only reached 20 DK points one time in his last 7 games. A couple negatives thrown in there. Is Tanaka broken here, or do you think you're going to go to him?
Yeah, it's tough because it kind of looked like he was starting to turn a corner. There were reports of his splitter being a lot better, and his chase percentage numbers had gone back up to the elite levels that we expect from him, but it's still never turned into strikeouts. He's really just not been very good this season, not getting a lot of strikeouts. He's always been a home run prone pitcher, but you got a good strikeout percentage to go along with it. This year, he has struck out 20.1% of hitters with a 4.36 xFIP. Just not really appealing numbers. If you get to some in this matchup, I think it's okay, but it's also, I don't think, as good a matchup as people assume it is against the Orioles. Like, they're not a great offense, but some pretty low strikeout percentages. Like Anthony Santander, I didn't realize has like a 13% strikeout percentage. If Anzer Alberto's in the lineup, he's a sub 10% guy. So it's not the best matchup in that regard.
Yeah, fair enough. And he just hasn't really deserved this price tag. So on two pitcher sites, I mean, I could see getting there. Looking at his price on Yahoo, he's under $40. That might be a little bit more appealing. FanDuel, he's 7,800. Like, I don't even know if I would get to him over there. He just hasn't been a high upside arm outside of really one game this entire season. But Yankees bats here are probably going to be pretty good to talk about. Noah, I think he's only expected to go a few innings. I don't think you can use him even at 4,500 on DraftKings. Hasn't gone longer than 4 1/3 in 3.5 weeks. So I guess he could go maybe 3 or 4 innings, but he's not someone you're considering, right? It's going to be all Yankees bats.
Yeah, not considering him. Just unlikely to go deep into the game and not particularly good anyway against a Yankees team with a 6.5 implied run total. So, yeah, pretty much all about the Yankees here. Torres and Urshela look like they're both questionable for this game, so you could get an even weaker lineup than we're already getting without Luke Voit or Gary Sanchez, which is obviously unfortunate. But great price tag on Aaron Judge once again, $1,000 less expensive than DJ LeMahieu, which is really weird. But yeah, still a good spot. Still a questionable starter for the Orioles and a poor bullpen behind them.
Yeah, decent pricing, at least for the main parts of the stack, like Judge. And, man, I guess this lineup is really watered down. I saw the lineup they rolled out yesterday against David Price, and then they rocked him in the third inning. But still a bunch of good hitters here. Tauchman and like Maben and all these guys have been decent at the bottom of the lineup. So I think I'm going to get to quite a few Yankee stacks, assuming they have – I mean, I hope Gleiber's in the lineup at 5,100, but – even if he's not, I'm guessing I still get to a ton of Judge, probably a bunch of LeMahieu, and Yankee stacks all over the place.
Yeah, like obviously you hope Torres is in the lineup, but if he's not, it just means another cheap bat's in there. So.
Yep. All right, let's move it on to Kansas City and Boston. We've got Mike Montgomery going up against Rick Porcello. Red Sox with the highest implied total on the day right now, 7.2 runs against Montgomery and the Royals. Rick Porcello is a minus 250 favorite at $6,400 on DraftKings. Are we falling for the Porcello? Are we falling for Porcello again today?
Probably. I mean, he's bad, but the price tag is appealing. The matchup's appealing. Like with no Mondesi in this lineup, the first four are good with Merrifield, Gordon, Dozier, Soler. I think you can roster any of those guys in tournaments, and they're all good plays. But you get past that, and Chesler Cuthbert, going from memory, is the next best hitter on the team with like an 84 WRC plus against right-handed pitching this year. So it falls off a cliff pretty quickly. You get some really bad bats toward the bottom of that order. And as bad as Porcello is, he's also cheap. He's a huge favorite, like you said. There's a lot working for him.
7,100 on FanDuel. Another good price for a massive favorite here. But it's not like the implied total against him is really low or anything. It's 4.4 runs. It's like middling total against him. Not a high strikeout arm, but on two pitcher sites especially, he's going to be in the pool. We do have ownership. I'm going to pull that up right now. It was updated very early this morning. So I don't remember seeing Porcello near the top, but I could just be misremembering. Let's see where he's at. Oh, yeah, he is at the top.
30% on DraftKings.
Wow. All right, well, I don't think I'm going to get to him I don't think I'm going to get to 30% of him, but he's going to be a guy that I get to. I almost always get to all these cheap pitchers that are big favorites, even when there's high implied totals against him. Red Sox against Montgomery. Does Montgomery stand a chance here?
Yeah, pretty tough spot for him. He's not the worst pitcher as far as like preventing runs goes. Since 2017 against right-handed hitters, he has a 16.7% strikeout percentage, which obviously is not very good. But only 326 expected WOBA, 139 expected ISO. A lot of those innings out of the bullpen though, so you expect him to be less productive against righties, but still just not a terrible pitcher. But the Red Sox are a really good lineup. Obviously Mookie, Bogarts, Martinez, all really powerful right-handed bats. You get Sam Travis as a cheap option. He does come with a lot of pinch hit risk, but still a cheap option. Vasquez has some power at catcher. Michael Chavis is another power bat in the lineup. So the 7.2 implied run total seems a bit aggressive to me, but that's not to say that it's not a good spot for them.
Yeah, the Red Sox are really priced up as well on DraftKings, which I like. Top 5 guys, all $5,100 or more. So I think the correct pricing, it is a little bit weird of a total 7.2 runs because it's not like it's super hot in Boston. It's not like there's a ton of wind blowing out or anything. A little bit of wind blowing out to left, but nothing major. So just a lot of respect to the Red Sox. I didn't realize the Red Sox were not even close to being in the playoffs right now. They're 6.5 games back of a wild card, they were saying last night on the Yankees-Red Sox game. So they're in trouble here. And I didn't realize that. Just one of those things you don't realize when you're playing DFS and not really caring about the outcome of the game besides your players. So Red Sox got to be one of the best stacks on the night with the highest implied total right now. I'm guessing that's going to stick. Anyone you're targeting against Porcello, there's going to be a lot of leverage here.
Yeah, I think the top 4 guys are all really appealing. They're actually, good major league hitters. There's a lot of power there. Hunter Dozier this year has a 263 ISO against right-handed pitching. Jorge Soler is at 293. Merrifield has a 119 WRC plus. Gordon's at 110. So the top 4 guys for Kansas City are good. It's just that after them, there's nothing.
Yeah, that's where you want to stick if you are going with a stack against Porcello, which I don't think is a bad idea at all. Angels and Reds, we've got Taylor Cole going up against Luis Castillo. We just got a line on this game in the last few minutes. Looks like the Angels have a 3.9 implied total against Castillo, 5.7 going to the Reds here. Are the Reds going to be cheap chalk on DraftKings? It looks like they probably will be with Senzel 41, Votto 4K. Their highest price bat is 4,400, and that's Suarez. And they've got a near 6 implied total in 90-degree weather in Great American. You like the Reds here?
Do we know who's coming in after Cole?
Let me see here. Maybe Fangraphs has someone different listed. That's usually...
Looks like Patrick Sandoval.
Ooh,
I don't know. It's a lefty.
I mean, would that change your mind at all if it's a lefty coming in? Like, are any of these guys pinch hit risk for the Reds?
Well, I mean, I would think they just run their right-handed heavy lineup out there with like Irvin and Iglesias and Aquino. I think it's a pretty decent spot. Suarez obviously is a great play. Aquino is cheap and has a ton of power. Iglesias is fine. Senzel's a good hitter. Peraza's cheap. So really good ballpark, really high total. I think that Cincinnati's, a good value stack.
Yeah, they look really cheap on FanDuel as well. Aquino and Peraza both 2K flat. Barnhart 2,200. Basically everyone in the bottom half of this lineup just really cheap on FanDuel. Same thing on Yahoo. They look very affordable if you use one of these guys batting in the bottom half. So Reds looking pretty good. Probably going to be a value play. Probably going to come in a little bit overvalued as far as their chances of being the top stack, but they're going to have a good chance of being that regardless against Cole and whoever comes in after him.
So, 60 innings at AAA for Sandoval this year. It is in the PCL, but 21.9% strikeout percentage, 11.6% walk percentage.
So nothing special. All right. Castillo going up against the Angels here. Angels, one of the toughest strikeout matchups in all of the MLB, but you've got a pitcher who has had a really good season, and he's 10-1 here. Big home favorite. Can you see yourself getting to Castillo, or is it just going to be more Morton and I guess Giolito is the other one that I was looking at earlier today?
Yeah, I mean, I can see getting there, but I think I'll probably end up just getting the Morton and Giolito because their matchups are so good. One thing to point out with the Angels, though, and I'm assuming that it's going completely overlooked given that Shane Bieber was like 5% owned yesterday. They're still a good offense. They're still tough to strike out, but they're not as bad a strikeout matchup now as they have been for a lot of the season. Essentially, you're replacing Andrelton Simmons with Matt Tice, who is a high strikeout guy. If Max Stassi's in the lineup, he's a much higher strikeout guy than Jonathan Lucroy was when he's on the team. So you actually do have a couple of bats that suddenly turn the Angels. Like yesterday, I think they had 5 or 6 guys in their lineup with at least a 23% strikeout percentage. So not the brutal matchup that it has been for a lot of the year when you replace guys like Simmons and Lucroy. Still not as favorable as, Giolito going against the Tigers or Morton against the Jays, but it's just something to keep an eye on for when you do get slates where, there's not the great pitching at the top.
Did you see Castillo's ownership on DraftKings right now?
Wow.
Yeah, I just assumed he was like 5% on the first run.
I assumed you were pointing it out to me because he was like 0.1 or something.
Yeah, no,
that's nuts.
He's over 21% right now. So I don't know. Is someone missing or something? I'm not sure.
I mean, if
Giolito, I see Morton. Interesting.
At 630, if he's projected for the same ownership as Giolito, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to end up just doubling Giolito.
Yeah, I think I would do the same just because the matchup is so much better for Giolito. So, I mean, Castillo's got a lower implied total against him right now, but it's not by a ton. And 2 similar pitchers, one in a great matchup, one in a okay matchup. He has more ownership than Giolito right now. That's wild to me. But we'll see if that holds true by the time we get to lock. Any other bats in this game that we want to point out before we move it
on? No, I don't think so.
All right, Toronto and Tampa Bay. We've got Jacob Waguespack going up against Charlie Morton. Waguespack is 6,800 on DraftKings, 3.1 implied total for the Blue Jays. Morton is 10-7, one of the premier options on the slate. 5 implied total here for the Rays. Is there any reason to get away from Morton outside of ownership here?
I mean, the only real negative for him is that he doesn't throw quite as many pitches as a lot of expensive guys. If you go back through his last 10 games, he's thrown 100 pitches in 5 of them. He's never thrown more than 105. But, in the other games, 94, 95, 97, 90, 85 pitches. That was the 85 was a game where he just wasn't pitching well. But that's like the only negative on him. He's a really good pitcher. Has a 30.1% strikeout percentage, which is the highest on the entire slate. 3.33 xFIP is better than everyone else as well. Just a really good pitcher in a pretty decent spot against Toronto.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to be a cash option, at least in cash consideration on every site. 51 on Yahoo, that's a really nice price. Looking at him over on FanDuel, 10-1. That's a little bit more difficult when you got Giolito at 9.8 and Castillo at 10.3. But I think Morton just one of the better options in the entire slate. Huge strikeout arm in an okay strikeout matchup at home. Great park. A lot of things going here for Morton outside of him not going as deep as like a Justin Verlander or Trevor Bauer and guys like that. But still can get strikeouts nonetheless. Toronto, Waguespack, is this a guy you have any interest in? He's under 7K, also in that same good park.
No, Tampa's just a pretty decent offense. I don't think Waguespack's anything special. Since being in the majors, he struck out 14.1% of hitters with a 5.94 xFIP. I'd be more interested in going to some cheap guys here like G-Man Choi, Kevin Kiermaier. You get a decent catcher option, even though he's expensive with Travis d'Arnaud.
All right. I like it. I think I'm going to have some interest in some Rays bats as well. Yep. They look pretty well priced. Meadows up to 4,700, and then same thing with d'Arnaud. But outside of that, they look pretty affordable for a team with a 5 implied total, and they rarely get ownership in this park. But Alex's projections seem to like them quite a bit. Has Choi been leading off for a couple of days now? I think I missed that.
I think so.
Okay. Under 4K, first baseman option against a righty pitcher. If he's leading off there. Pretty nice option. All right, let's go to the White Sox and the Tigers. We've got a 5.1 implied total for Chicago, 4.4 for Detroit. Lucas Giolito, he is 11K right now. He's the most expensive pitcher on the board, but going up against Detroit in about the best matchup you can ask for for a righty. They just shipped away one of their best righties in Nick Castellanos. And you've got a high strikeout pitcher, just under 30% K rate for Giolito on the season, going up against a righty-heavy Detroit lineup. Do you think he ends up being your number one today if this ownership sticks?
Yeah, especially if the ownership sticks. Even if it doesn't, I think that he'll be right up there, like neck and neck with Morton for me. Really good lineup against Detroit. Giolito has obviously been really good this season. Second highest strikeout percentage, just behind Morton at 29.9%. xFIP is third best on the slate, it looks like. Fourth best, I guess, behind Morton, Castillo, Soroka. So just a good pitcher in a good spot. He obviously hasn't been as good recently as he was early in the season, but he's also had some tough matchups recently. So you have to factor that in as well. I just think he's a really, really good pitcher in a good spot. Detroit's 4.3 implied run total, surprising to me. I think that it either drops or is a good spot to just be on the under.
Yeah. How is Detroit going to get? I guess, does Chicago have a really bad bullpen? Or
yeah,
why?
the bullpen's not great.
Okay, that's probably more an indictment on them rather than Giolito, because he's just been awesome. And I know Vegas is sometimes late to catch up on these pitchers that make big changes and all of a sudden they become a completely different player. So that might be some of it as well.
Yeah, like you're trying to balance money, and so you can't just be like, hey, this guy's great now, and none of the people betting on, or the public betting on this doesn't know it.
Right. Detroit 74 WRC plus on their active roster, 143 ISO, 292 on base percentage, 26.5% K rate, one of the lower walk rates in the league versus righties. I mean, just atrocious. Could not really be a better spot for Giolito. And while you're paying up a little bit more for Giolito compared to a guy like Morton, he's another one where if you played Giolito over Morton in cash, I don't think there would be a problem with that at all. It's just going to be a matter of preference. Looking at the projections right now that just got updated on the site, if you want access, use promo code MLB Strategy for 50% off your first month of Awesemo.com, or Awesemo Plus, it's called actually. Morton projects a little bit better, well, actually a lot better right now in terms of value. He's got the best raw point projection on the main slate. Castillo and Giolito both under 20 right now. That's a little bit surprising to me. I wonder if those guys will come up. Right now we're showing Giolito as the quote-unquote worst value of the three on DraftKings, but I think he's got as much upside or more than any of the other two guys in their respective matchups.
Yeah, I'll end up higher on Giolito than that projection, I think.
Yeah, I bet he comes up throughout the day. Anything else in this game? Are you targeting any bats if Giolito all of a sudden starts to become chalky? Any of these Detroit bats look appealing to you at all?
Nope.
And then we didn't really talk about Turnbull, 7K going up against the White Sox. Anything you like on either side of that matchup?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty appealing price tag for Turnbull. He's a decent pitcher, especially against right-handed bats. 25.2% strikeout percentage since coming up to the majors. 287 expected WOBA, 128 expected ISO. Only a 16.5% strikeout percentage against lefties. Pretty balanced lineup for the White Sox, and he's not expensive. So this is another one where the White Sox have a 4.8 implied run total, and I think it's based more on the bullpen than on Turnbull. So I like both pitchers in this game.
Yeah, I think I do too. Turnbull actually grading out is a pretty good value right now. On our projections, it looks like he has the sixth highest raw point projection, but it gets a little dicey after the top two guys, or the top three guys, I should say. Have you seen Tanaka's projection? I'm surprised it's that high.
No, I hadn't.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the better values up at the top. Oh, man. This is going to be interesting because I use the projections on the site, so we will see. I might make some manual adjustments for the first time in a while.
It's an interesting slate because it's like pitchers that there are a couple pitchers that used to suck that are good now, and a couple pitchers that used to be really good that suck. And so, like, obviously any good projections take into account more than just this year. But there's just a lot of interesting pitchers.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's go to the Rangers and the Indians. We've got a 4.7 implied total here for the Rangers, 5.5 for Cleveland on Alex's his totals on the Awesemo lineups page. Mike Minor going up against Aaron Savall. Minor, 9,900 going up against the team with a high total. Always high totals against Mike Minor. He seems to always overperform and kind of ruin stacks. Do you think Cleveland's going to get some ownership here with this total against Minor, or do people know that Minor's just a good pitcher at this point?
I assume they realize Minor's a good pitcher. It's also, I mean, I guess Cleveland is more appealing now. It used to be pretty tough to get to them against left-handed pitching, but now that they have Puig and Reyes, that's, I guess, not the case. But still, just I don't think it's that appealing of a spot.
Yeah. Cleveland's not getting really any ownership right now. I guess it's a modest total. I saw last night when I looked, they had like a 6.2 total. So they must have just thought Minor wasn't starting, but I thought that was just ridiculous because there's always high totals against Minor, I think higher than they should be a lot of times, but he's one of those guys that he's just become a better pitcher, and I think the run totals against him have been slow to catch up on that. Savall at 6,900 here. Is this a guy that you're going to get to? It looks like he hasn't pitched in the majors for, 6 weeks? I don't know what he's been doing in the minor leagues. Is this a guy you've looked at so far?
26% strikeout percentage at AAA, 5% walk percentage, 3.47 FIP. Like, those numbers are really good, but still not like a highly touted prospect or anything like that. Texas, it's a negative park shift for them. They do have a lot of good left-handed bats. I don't think I'll get to a whole lot of however you pronounce Aaron's last name, but I don't think I get to a ton of Texas either because they are pretty expensive.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get to a lot of Texas. Low implied total, 4.7 runs. I guess not that low, but kind of high pricing on DraftKings. Everyone except for Jeff Mathis in this lineup is above 4K, and then Mathis at his classic 2K. So they don't even look that appealing on FanDuel either. And then on Yahoo, it also looks like some of their guys are priced up in a not-so-great matchup. All right, anything else here before moving on?
Nope.
Oakland and Chicago, we've got a 4.8 implied total for the Athletics, 5.5 for the Cubs. Chris Bassett going up against Kyle Hendricks. Bassett is $35 on Yahoo, $8,600 on DraftKings. Hendricks 41 on Yahoo and 93 on DraftKings. Hendricks priced like 2K overpriced, right?
Yeah, he's a much better real-life pitcher than DFS pitcher. Not a lot of strikeouts in the Oakland lineup. Hendricks is good at getting outs. He's just not great at getting strikeouts. 21.6% strikeout percentage this season, 5.1% walk percentage, 4.25 xFIP. Pretty, decent pitcher, but not someone that I want to pay $9,300 for.
Yeah, not a chance. He's just always priced up like this.
Yeah, 41 on Yahoo, not super appealing either.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a fine price over there. If this was a pitching slate we had last week where it was terrible,
right.
Maybe you could make a case for him, but I don't think we really need to get there. There's wind blowing out right now, but it hasn't affected the totals in a huge way. So like if you see the Cubs total jump or go way down, it's probably because of something going on with the wind. There was no total out last night on this game, so I assumed that they were waiting to have an opening line before they got a better grip on what the weather was. But right now, modest wind blowing out to right center, 80 degrees, so not crazy elements in Wrigley tonight. But looks like some pretty good pricing here for the Cubs bats. Do you like them as a value stack?
Yeah, I think they're okay. Really nice pricing on, like you said, Castellanos is $3,500 on DraftKings. Bryant's $4,100. Those are both really, really cheap price tags. Like they're facing someone that isn't Chris Bassett. Castellanos is $12 on Yahoo, so that's a solid value there. Caratini will probably be in the lineup. He's the absolute minimum on Yahoo at $7. On DraftKings, he's $3,600. Schwarber's cheap. It's a really, really favorably priced Cubs team.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised to see that. I guess they were just anticipating, DraftKings was anticipating a lower total here for the Cubs. Always hard with the wind there. You never know how that's going to affect the game, and it swirls a lot of the time. So sometimes when you get these Wrigley wind games, the wind ends up blowing side to side or in at some point during the game, and it doesn't really affect it like some people think. But a 5.5 implied total nonetheless. Cubs look to be one of the better values on DraftKings, not so much on FanDuel. Um, any A's bats here against Hendricks? Because I'm not really seeing much I like.
The only thing that stands out to me is Chris Davis is still $3,100 on DraftKings. He's having a really bad year, but he's still Chris Davis. So 3,100 on DraftKings, $8 on Yahoo. That's priced like guys that are just called up from the minors that aren't any good. So I think you can get there. I think that Chapman at sub 4K on DraftKings is kind of interesting just from a power standpoint in tournaments. But overall, Hendricks isn't a guy that I really like to pick on.
Have you looked into Davis's batted ball profile at all this year? Because I haven't, but he's probably someone I should look at. Like, is he hitting the ball hard? Is he getting unlucky? He's striking out a lot, but he's always struck out a lot.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, he's getting hits at least lately. So there's maybe some signs pointing to some good things in the future, but he's just not hitting for power at all outside of the first month of the season.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it as much as I probably should. For the season, 41.6% ground ball percentage, which last year he was at 35.3%, but for his career he's at 39.8. So it's a high ground ball percentage, but not that much higher than his career averages. Fly ball percentage down from 48.8% last year to 35.6 this year, but his line drive percentage has jumped from 15.9 to 22.8. So it seems like some of those fly balls are becoming ground balls, but also just a lot more line drives. His batting average on balls in play this year, 275. He has a 276 career average. So that doesn't seem, that's in line with what we would expect. 45.6% hard contact this year. His career average is 41.4. Last year he was at 45.3. His hard, medium, soft percentages are in line with what we normally get from him. So the only thing that seems weird is just a little bit more ground balls and more line drives instead of fly balls.
So maybe something related to just his swing, like he's just lost.
Something. Yeah, possibly. But I mean, also like a 22.8% line drive percentage is really good. So, and that's not a bad thing. So I think that, I don't know, just looking at these and not having dug in any further, I think that it's pretty likely that you just see Chris Davis have like a monster rest of the year.
Yeah, just some positive regression for sure coming, or at least you would think is coming. Whether or not that's in that game is a different story, or this game is a different story, but I'll take that risk.
And we know his batting average is going to jump 16 points from now to the end of the year.
Of course, so he's just going to get hit after hit after hit, and hopefully some home runs mixed in there. All right, let's go to Atlanta and Minnesota. We've got Mike Soroka going up against Jake Odorizzi. Two decent pitchers on the mound here, but 5.5 implied total for the Braves, 5.3 for the Twins. I saw EMAC look to be on the Braves in the Spotlight Hitters article. Do you agree with them here against Odorizzi?
Yeah, I think the Braves are actually really interesting here because Odorizzi's always, or for most of his career, he's been a reverse splits guy. And this year, his expected ISO is 214 to right-handed hitters. His actual ISO allowed 137. His expected WOBA is 329 compared to a 250 WOBA. And he has a lower strikeout percentage against righties. So I'm still expecting righties to start getting to Odorizzi more. And you have Ronald Acuna, you have Donaldson, you have Duvall, you have Riley, assuming he's in the lineup. So there is right-handed power in this lineup that can get to Odorizzi. The only left-handed bats in the middle of the order are Freeman, who's just a phenomenal hitter, and then McCann, who's a top value option at catcher. So I think it's and I guess, Albies, who isn't great from the left side, but I don't think it's the best spot for Odorizzi.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be using Odorizzi here. We're showing Smeltzer.
He pitched yesterday.
Yeah, that's from yesterday. So maybe a little glitch going on with the Osmo lineup builder, but that'll get corrected throughout the day. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to get to Odorizzi at 8,100. I don't often get to anyone at 8,100 against the Braves, and they have a good total like this. Again, not a great strikeout matchup either. And Odorizzi has regressed from what we saw earlier in the season when he was just kind of striking out everyone. Soroka at 9,100, same thing here. Just a better real life pitcher going up against a really, really tough team in the Twins. No interest there, right?
Yeah, it's basically Kyle Hendricks, the part two.
Yeah. I wonder, what are their K rates compared to each other? Let's see.
Soroka's at 20.3. Hendricks is at 21.6.
Yeah, so similar.
Soroka does have. I don't. I don't have it in front of me now, but last time I looked, I think Soroka had the second lowest barrels per batted ball event percentage of any qualified starter, behind only Max Fried. He has a ridiculously high ground ball percentage as well. So I mean, we know why he's effective and he's good at preventing runs. It's not like it's a guy where it's like he doesn't strike anyone out, like he's getting lucky. We should be targeting against him, but he's just not very useful for DFS.
Under 0.5 home runs per 9 this year for Soroka. That's kind of crazy, but that's exactly what you would want against a team that's on pace to break the season home run record. So are you targeting any Twins bats against Soroka here? Nelson Cruz up to 5,800 on DraftKings, but the rest of the Twins look to be pretty well priced. And then on FanDuel, looking like the Twins are, well, pretty expensive. Yeah, I don't know. Soroka is a good real-life pitcher. He's more like a Kyle Hendricks breed. But do you see getting yourself some Twins here?
I probably won't get to a lot. He just allows no power. 0.089 expected ISO to righties, 115 to lefties. The only thing really working in Minnesota's favor is that, like you said, outside of Nelson Cruz and to some extent Max Kepler, it's a really, really affordable lineup. And there's obviously a lot of talent there, but I have a ton of respect for Soroka.
Soroka's pitching in the wrong era, it seems like.
Yeah,
he'd be like an elite pitcher 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, he put him in that like Greg Maddux mold.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of, Maddux. That's funny. But still, kind of a frustrating guy for DFS. So even though the Twins have a solid total here, 5.3, I don't know that I'm going to get to a lot of stacks. Maybe a Rosario or Polanco, $12 and $14 on Yahoo, but probably not stacking up too many Twinkies. All right, let's go to the Phillies and the Diamondbacks here. Vince Velasquez going up against Merrill Kelly. We've got Velasquez at 7,800, Kelly 6,600, $31 a piece on Yahoo. 5.4 implied total for the Phillies, 5.2 for the Diamondbacks. Right now I'm seeing the roof being open, and it is expected to be 111 degrees in Arizona here. I don't know if they're going to close the roof or what, but I guess we'll see. Do you have any interest in either of these pitchers here?
Some interest, I guess, in Velasquez just because he's reasonably priced and gets strikeouts, but not a ton. Merrill Kelly, I don't think is very good. I would rather roster I guess it is kind of. I'd rather roster Porcello than Kelly, I guess. Not super interested in the pitching.
Yeah, I don't think I am either. And neither of these guys getting much ownership, both 8% or less. Actually, 8% for Kelly, 7% for Velasquez. So probably not going to factor into ownership too much here. Man, I don't even know if I wanted to choose either one of these guys. Like, I'm probably just taking neither. 31 on Yahoo, at least I guess they're probably both in play, but I don't think Kelly's very good. And then Velasquez is super wild, needs it to be a pretty good strikeout matchup, and I don't think this is
roof is closed, by the way.
Oh, it is closed? Okay.
Yeah.
That would be smart with 110 degree temperatures. So
yeah. It's closed for this entire series.
Okay. These totals are pretty high then for a closed roof.
Yeah.
Phillies pricing looks good on DraftKings. Harper 4,500, Hoskins 47, Real Muto 44. No one's super expensive. Do you like the Phillies here?
I think they're okay. It's just not a favorable park for hitters anymore now that with the roof closed and having the humidor that they put in place last season. It's just not the Chase Field that it used to be. I think Philadelphia is fine. Like, I don't have a ton of respect for Merrill Kelly. I think the pricing is okay. I just don't think they'll be one of my top stacks.
Yeah, fair enough. Any Diamondbacks you want to point out against Velasquez? What do you think about $10 David Peralta on Yahoo?
Yeah, I was gonna say Peralta's price tag really jumps out. $10 on Yahoo is really cheap. Even 4,200 on DraftKings is appealing for a hitter with as much power as Peralta has. Velasquez does struggle with power. He's a good strikeout pitcher, but 216 expected ISO to lefties this year, 218 to righties. So I think that even if you're not full stacking, using some of these Diamondbacks at least as one-offs or mini stacks makes some sense because you have so much power in guys like Peralta, Marte, Escobar, Walker, Lamb that could do some damage to Velasquez.
Yeah, I like the call. Really quick, want to circle back before we go to the Nats Giants game. This Miami Mets game, the second part of the doubleheader, is on FanDuel and Yahoo. It looks like on their main slate. So it's not on DraftKings. I don't know why it's not on DraftKings. It being a day-night doubleheader. I mean, we'd have more than enough time to get lineups and stuff figured out. But actually, no, it's a 4:10 Eastern game or 3:10 Eastern game. So that's
why it's not on DraftKings.
Okay. All right. I was thinking it was like a 1 p.m. start and we'd have more than enough time. But we've got Robert Duggar going up against Walker Lockett. Lockett is $28 on Yahoo with a 4 implied total against him right now in New York against a Miami team who may have even a more watered down lineup than they already have because of the nature of the doubleheader here. But I think Walker Lockett is pretty interesting on Yahoo at $28. Do you see anything else you want to target here?
No, an appealing price tag on Yahoo where you obviously have to roster 2 pitchers, and he's really cheap. He's basically the minimum on FanDuel as well, but since you only have to roster 1, it's less appealing. He's not a great pitcher. It's just a pretty good matchup against Miami.
Yeah, a righty against a pretty righty-heavy Miami team. We'll see which kind of lineup they roll out in the doubleheader, but this one could be a little bit frustrating on FanDuel and Yahoo because of the time of the first game. So if they go through and get that game done, you'll probably have a lineup well before lock. But if that game, goes in extra innings or something, or if there's a bunch of bullpen changes or something, teams getting blown out, it could take a while, and you might have to kind of write this one off for FanDuel and Yahoo's main slates. All right, let's go to a couple more games. Nats and the Giants. We've got 4.7 implied total for the Nats, 4.8 for the Giants. 2 pretty healthy totals in San Francisco here. Eric Fede on the mound against Jeff Samardzija. Samardzija at 8,600 on FanDuel. He's 87 on DraftKings. And then over on Yahoo, Samardzija is at $39. Good price, I think, on Yahoo at home in a great pitcher's park. Let's talk about either of these pitchers, Samardzija or Fede. Are those guys going to be ones you're targeting?
I can see getting some Eric Fede on DraftKings because he's 5,600 pitching in San Francisco. I don't think he's any good, but the Giants aren't the most dangerous offense. The park obviously is the best park to pitch in baseball, and he's 5,600. So you compare him with, a Giolito or a Morton and then still get whatever hitters you want. It's not a case, though, where I am like, wow, this guy is really underpriced. I think that he can score, enough raw points to win you a slate on his own. It's definitely just a price play. Not like he has a 12% strikeout percentage in the majors this year, 11% walk percentage. He's not any good. It's just that he's cheap.
Yeah. Wow. $25 on Yahoo as well for Fede. I'm gonna get some of that. I think the hitting doesn't look. The pricing really anywhere outside of Brandon Belt at $8 on Yahoo looks really nice. Even in that park, he's one of those guys who has been good in that park. One of the few. But man, it's not really great. Cheap stacks on FanDuel maybe of the Giants, but they're just not a great team despite this recent hot.
Yeah, DraftKings too.
Yeah.
Jeanette's 2,600, Crawford's 2,700, Belt's 3,100. You can certainly stack the Giants, and then it lets you roster whatever pitching you want or whatever one-offs you want. Yeah. But the park is it's still not a park where you're expecting them to hit a ton of home runs. If they do score 5, 6, plus runs, it's probably off of base hits.
Right. Yeah. So not a great stack on DraftKings where you're looking for more power, extra base hits, and all that. But maybe usable on a site like FanDuel. Did you talk about Samardzija at all? Mid-priced on FanDuel and DraftKings. Is that a guy you're looking at?
Just kind of priced out of consideration for me. 21% strikeout percentage, obviously benefits from pitching in Oracle, but the Nats don't have a ton of strikeouts in this lineup either. Turner, Eaton, Rendon, All low strikeout guys. Soto's not a high K guy. Adams, if he's back in the lineup, is. Dozier will strike out some, but overall, just not the best lineup for taking pitchers against.
Yeah, just kind of a meh spot for Samardzija. If he was 1K or $1,500 cheaper, you'd be talking about a guy that would get a lot of ownership across the board, but not all that appealing really on any site. Juan Soto sticks out to me a little bit on DraftKings at $4,500, but that's really about it for me here. Last game of the night, we've got the Cardinals and the Dodgers. Michael Wacha going up against Tony Gonsolin. 7K for Gonsolin here at home as a -154 favorite. I was trying to pull up his pitch count. I saw he went 4 innings on the 30th, so that would make him fully stretched out, or at least fully rested. Do you know how deep he could go into this game?
He's made 12 starts at AAA this year for a total of 36 in the 3rd innings pitched. So I'm not expecting him to go super deep.
Wow. Okay. So probably priced out of consideration on DraftKings at least.
Yeah.
7K there. FanDuel, he's 6,200. Yeah, I mean, just play Lockett on FanDuel if you're gonna go there. I think $600 cheaper. And then he is in the player pool on Yahoo, $25. But again, you've got Lockett or someone else in that price range you could get to that actually has a chance at a win here. So you got Wacha, 6K against the Dodgers' vaunted offense here. Looking at what the Dodgers have done versus right-handed pitching this season, they've just been incredible. The highest WRC plus 121 in the season, a low K rate under 20%, one of the higher on-base percentages, the second highest ISO as well. Going to be a pretty tough matchup here for Wacha. At 6K, can you make the case for him?
No.
Okay.
He's just not good. I always thought he was kind of like an overrated pitcher, and then this year he's just been awful. He is or has been better against lefties than righties. He has a 22.7% swinging strike percentage on his changeup, which helps to mitigate some damage from lefties. Still a 210 expected ISO there, though. And against righties, a 387 expected WOBA, 218 expected ISO. So with a lineup this dangerous, I just don't have interest in Wacha, and I do have a ton of interest in the Dodgers.
Yeah, ton of interest in the Dodgers as well. Jock Peterson is 2,900 on FanDuel, so you kind of know what to do there. I think there's going to be a couple cash game options. Seager, $14 on Yahoo. Jock, again, $13. We got Max Muncy at $20, which is one of the lower prices we've seen for him over on Yahoo as well. And then looks like just mid-tier price tags for everyone outside of Bellinger, which makes sense because he's been one of the best hitters in the MLB this season. So, yeah, I really like the Dodgers here. Late night hammer, just a 5.3 implied total. It'll attract some ownership for sure, but I think they're going to be a team I'll be pretty heavy on by the time we get to lock here. All right, I think we got through all the games there. That was pretty quick, despite the little bit of the late start. So we got through everything. Talk about just the site and everything going on for the rest of the day. So promo code MLB Strategy is how you get 50% off your first month of Osmo.com or Osmo Plus. With that, you get access to the projections from Osmo himself, ownership projections. We've got the rankings on the site as well, night slate, main slate, all the ownership projections. You also get access to Adam and Laffy's article, The Deep Dive, which is a breakdown of the pitching and then some of their favorite hitter plays. Super in-depth article, one of the favorites for all of our subscribers that like to read. What do you got going on the rest of the day, Adam?
Deeper dive at 5 o'clock with Laffy and Alex.
All right. Always a good trio there. A lot of good information. So, yeah, okay, you guys are going to start at 5. Yeah, just 12 games, I guess. You guys usually blow through it pretty good, too. So timing isn't usually an issue. And then, of course, make sure you want to check out Emacs article. If you want $30 of Yahoo Sports rewards points, you can find more details in Emacs article. We're also doing an NFL giveaway. I can just pull that up on the screen quick while we have a few minutes of time. If you respond to this tweet, and you also have to follow the Osmo.com account, you can win, let's see, I think it's 3 months of Osmo Plus right now. Yeah, 3 months of all access Osmo Plus. You got to reply and retweet this tweet, and it basically costs you a couple seconds of your time and a chance for a $210 value. So pretty good stuff there. All right, as Josh would say, 12 up, 12 down, and we went through it pretty quick. So anything else before we head out of here, Adam?
Nope.
All right, good luck tonight, guys. See you back for the deep dive and live before lock.